Also this evening, Fox 11 investigates what some may say is a waste of your taxpayer dollars. For years, local tax dollars went to storing a German-made sports car, although taxpayers don't own it and they'll never get to drive it. In fact, the cost paid for the storage has turned out to be more than the car's even worth. Fox 11 investigative reporter Mark Leland uncovers why taxpayers got stuck with this bill and many others like it.
I was kind of shocked that we were paying that much money.
There was no other option at the time.
On top of that, the taxpayers end up footing a bill.
Taxpayers are expected to pick up the tab for prosecuting a criminal case like the emotional, high-profile, reckless homicide trial of Henrietta Geske. In June of 2008, Geske killed two teenage girls when her Porsche sports car slammed into the side of another car. Police say Geske was racing 80 miles an hour down Oneida Street in Ashwaubenon under the influence of alcohol and prescription drugs when she cruised through a red light.
Driving that Porsche 80 miles an hour down Oneida through a red light, she might as well have shot a bullet down Oneida Street.
Justice has a cost, and following the 2009 trial, Geske was found guilty and dealt an 80-year prison sentence.
You might think with Geske put away, the damage she has caused would be done, but even behind bars, she continues to make those in the community here pay for her crime. Literally pay.
It would be nice to be able to go after the defendant in the case and have them pay that bill. In the case of Henrietta Geske, she has no money.
We're not talking about the cost to keep her in prison. Fox 11 Investigates uncovered a bill for $14,000 that came due just this year, 5 years after the crash. $14,000 for storing Geske's car and the car she hit.
Why did you need to keep the car?
Because the car still is raw evidence.
Despite photos and video of the car, expert examinations of the car, and police investigators scrutinizing every detail of that car, the district attorney's office held the car in storage to preserve it for trial and any court appeals.
Geske's Porsche is still being held here at Kozlowski Towing in Howard. I wanted to show you what you've been paying for. Police gave us the okay to check it out, but Kozlowski's, given the sensitive nature of the case, didn't want to let us inside.
A drastically reduced storage rate of $5 a day doesn't sound bad, but it adds up fast. Geske's Porsche sat at Kozlowski's for 1,399 days, nearly 4 years, all on the taxpayer's dime.
Why not store it here in the garage here? I mean, it wouldn't cost taxpayers anything, would it?
You're right, it wouldn't if we did it this way, but if we put it in our police garage where the officers are coming in and out of all the time, where there's squad cars parked driving around, there's no chain of evidence.
But Ashwaubenon's Lieutenant Jody Crocker showed me a smaller garage at the Ashwaubenon Public Safety Building that could have been blocked off to secure evidence and still might in the future. Ashwaubenon taxpayers aren't the only ones affected by this storage practice. For decades, Kozlowski's has been working with other area law enforcement agencies. It has stored various cars over the years in criminal cases, all at taxpayers' expense. These are accumulated storage charges paid by the Brown County Sheriff's Department this year, totaling more than $30,000, all to store some 17 cars.
To some people, that's going to sound like a waste of taxpayer money.
Well, it sounds like it.
These criminals causing these accidents, killing people, they continue to be a burden even after they're behind bars.
That was very well said, yes, sir.
So you can imagine our surprise when we saw this bill for $30,000.
Yeah. A surprise because Sheriff John Gossage says the Brown County District Attorney's Office previously took care of ordering the cars held as evidence and paid the bills. The practice began long before Gossage and District Attorney David Lissay were elected, and until Gossage got stuck with the bill, neither side seemed concerned taxpayers were paying an outside company to store the cars.
I mean, is this how government's supposed to run?
I think government's supposed to run the way it's running right now, which is the issue arose. I don't know that anybody was all that aware of the fact that there were some additional costs that were associated with that could have been done more effectively, but now we've had that conversation.
Lissay found a state statute that puts the responsibility of preserving these cars as evidence on the law enforcement agencies involved in the cases. Since getting stuck with several bills, Sheriff Gossage towed the cars he was paying storage for to a sheriff's department garage, so they stopped accruing daily charges.
We've been looking for different options.
So what does this all add up to for Ashwaubenon? The village paid $14,000 to store the 2002 Porsche along with the car it hit. The salvage yard owners say the Porsche is essentially worthless, except for maybe scrap metal, and the village won't even get that money.
As it turns out, Kozlowski now owns the Porsche. Geske recently signed over the title of the car so it can be destroyed.
Fortunately for Ashwaubenon taxpayers, the village isn't currently storing any other vehicles. And while the need might arise in the future, it is exploring other options to keep evidence safe without racking up a costly bill. In Ashwaubenon, Mark Leland, Fox 11 News.
The Brown County Sheriff's Department also has to deal with storing cars seized in drug cases, and it has always done that in a county-owned space. But Mark tells us that facility is being torn down, so now the sheriff is reviewing his options.